Micah Parsons, he is up for a new contract very soon. He is going to be playing on the 5th year of his rookie deal. He's going to be making a lot of money on that 5th year, but he should be up to make some enormous dollars as one of the highest paid pass rushers, if not should be the highest paid pass rusher in the NFL. Now, Micah Parsons is very outspoken because he has his own show on Bleacher Report. He does a lot of content, so we get to hear his thoughts on literally everything. Well, CBS Sports, I was reading this article of one of his quotes regarding this extension, and he said, I feel like you see a lot of times highest paid than we say they don't have weapons or they don't have this. So I'd rather just be in the best situation, you know? At that point, I don't think there's a big difference between $30 million and $40 million in my eyes. You know, that's just me talking. Well, it is just him talking. And he also threw in there that he acknowledged his agent wouldn't be very happy about him saying that. So there's two parts to bring up here. One, just completely screwed himself in negotiations. If we're just talking how he can get the most possible amount of money out of the Dallas Cowboys,
yeah,
they're going to bring that damn quote up in the middle of this negotiation. Hey, Micah, you said that you were good with taking a little bit of a pay cut here so we can afford to, pay some other dudes on this defense and on this offense. But where did that energy go? But I have to say, though, it is refreshing that Micah Parsons is already sharing this perspective of, like, hey, I want to be on the best possible team. We haven't been successful. A lot of the pressure is going to be on me. If I'm getting paid the most money and I'm taking up a ton of, this big portion of the cap, then a lot more blame is going to go on my shoulders.
I think, first of all, do you think Micah went through the BR Creators channel to get his show on Bleacher Report,
No.
or do you think that they reached out to him?
Well, they reached out to me to do my show, so does that mean we're the same?
Oh, very
nice. Me and Micah are the same?
Yeah, I got it. I hope Micah gets out of Dallas. He is too good for Dallas. Dallas has done nothing for him. And it started with Dallas letting Dan Quinn walk, keeping Mike McCarthy, who Micah Parsons was also verbally not for. When he was discussing Mike McCarthy this past season, he said that's Mike's job. He's going to do what he's going to do. Paraphrasing a little bit, he did not have his head coach's back. Micah Parsons' best seasons were when Dan Quinn was the DC in Dallas. It was going to be a home run hire. Let him take over. The guys on defense love playing for him. That's when they had a dynamic defense. It was even after the year that they drafted that Bustola, Mozzie Smith, they still had a high-flying defense that could keep them in games. Last year, atrocious across the board. Micah, healthy or not, didn't matter. Dallas has done nothing to help their defense. They have done nothing to help their team. He needs to get the hell out. Maybe he wouldn't dare, and anybody that grew up watching in the heydays of the Cowboys-Redskins rivalry couldn't even fathom a player leaving Dallas to go to DC. It was always the inverse. It was always leave for the Cowboys. They might have been better, especially during the 2000s. I think the script is flipping, and Washington should make a big push for Micah. Reunite with Dan Quinn. You can offload Jonathan Allen. I know they just signed Payne. They can find the money to pay Micah Parsons. He just needs to get out of Dallas, or else he's just going to be a DeMarcus Ware, who played his ass off for that team, got 100-plus sacks, never got rewarded with anything, passed the NFC divisional round. Maybe the Cowboys then didn't even get past the wild card round, because that's when Roma had the fumble on the field goal. So it's just another DeMarcus Ware that we're looking at that's never going to get a ring in Dallas.
I forget what his exact quote was, but during his Super Bowl media availability, he did a spot with the McCoy and Van Noy, the Yahoo Sports show, which is Kyle Van Noy and Gerald McCoy. I had
That
edited
show's
that.
got a good ring to it,
Yeah.
man.
My last week at Yahoo, though, I got to edit that, and one of the quotes that he had, he referenced DeMarcus Ware. I forget exactly what he said, so I'm not going to try and dig it back up. But I do remember there was a member of the production staff that was a Cowboys fan, Colin, and he seemed a little bit incensed by him referencing DeMarcus Ware leaving and going and getting a Super Bowl with the Broncos.
Yeah, he was still impactful on the Broncos with Wade Phillips.
I think you bring up an interesting part of this of if he finds success elsewhere, I think a lot of people would be pissed off. I do think, though, what's really unique, though, when was the last time, and Micah Parsons is one of the most unique players ever because he's so vocal.
Yeah.
But when was the last time that you heard somebody outwardly speak into a microphone and say, I'd be willing to be paid less. I don't need to be paid $30-40 million to be the highest paid non-quarterback in order for me to feel good about my situation.
Yeah, no one's like, we see quarterbacks that have done it that have taken less, like Tom Brady, probably the most famous example. And then I know Mahomes hasn't been opting for a bigger deal in Kansas City. He took his deal a couple years ago and is letting that ride as of right now. There's not you're right. There haven't been players that are going out being overly vocal about saying, you could pay me less as long as we can get more around me. I think, was there a quarterback? It wasn't Burrow. It might have been Burrow that just wanted the best for Cincinnati for them to retain all of their players. Cincinnati maybe even cheaper than Dallas. It's a weird precedent to set for Micah, but it's also letting them know, hey, you could do this, but if you don't surround me with winners and you don't get me a winning team, then I think it's going to be a problem. I think he would sit out. I think he is good enough where he would say, I'm going to save my legs. I took a cut for you. I am not playing another down in Dallas. Like, he could be a total, I don't care. Take my money. I already take the cut. I'm getting off of this team no matter what. Like, I think he could sit himself off the team if all of this went through and they still did nothing for him.
By the way, executive producer Ryan Roberts says we sound good, by the way. So our concerns of if there was something off with our audio when we were trying to, on the new setup, he has informed us, management has informed us we sound okay.
Ryan, this is the only show where both hosts could set up a fully functioning studio in under 30 minutes and then
we
kick
did
off
it in
the
10
show.
minutes.
Yeah, this is actually astounding.
Producer's show. That's
God,
what this is.
just
Two
the
idiot
frickin'
producers.
You know, I still refuse to watch that film, by the way, The Producers. People love
you haven't
that
seen
movie.
it?
No.
I've seen it. I saw it a long time ago.
Did you enjoy it?
I don't remember.
I almost feel like it would be, I would watch it and I would feel that pain because I listen to old radio segments where
Right.
the producers are absolutely in the blender, and I feel I have a perspective where I'm like, oh, he's getting torched. He's having a shit day. You gotta lay off him because he's gonna start having a real anxiety attack.
Well, the problem that you and I have is we don't have a producer to like sit here and be like, hey, one sec, like this is off. So we literally, and we did this once. We went 10 minutes straight without any audio one time, and that was not fun for us to go live and do that.
We've done multiple shows where the audio has had to stop, and then there's been a lot of expletives, and well, we can't yell at anybody. We can't yell at
it's
poor
ourselves.
Thomas or Adrian, whoever the hell would be producing the show.
That's an eccentric name for a producer.
I'm keeping our producer search diverse. It could be men and women, any name type available.
Okay, ambiguous with the name. Final thought here on the Dallas Cowboys, though. If he does command the most amount of money, though, and they do pay him like an insanely big, he becomes the highest paid non-quarterback, is that best for the Cowboys? Like, do you think that if he sticks around, that we'll actually he takes the contract and then we go on to see the Cowboys win a Super Bowl, or do you think that hamstrings having him and Dak and CD on the books? Do you think that hamstrings him too much?
No, they need somebody on defense because I think a lot of people thought that pre-ACL injury, Trayvon Diggs could be competing for a big share of that money in Dallas.
Overrated.
I think he is going to
very overrated.
I think he's going to see his exodus from Dallas somewhat soon, and he would be off the books before Micah would be. And then Deron Bland, I think, did he get paid last year? He might have got paid and then got injured before the season. But if you got one stellar back-end player in Bland, who we'll see how he recovers from injury, and then you have total focal point leader Micah Parsons, alpha on the defensive line, maybe you just draft another Sean Lee, Leighton Vander Esch type linebacker that could play every 4 years before their next.
Oh, that's so
injury.
Convenient and easy to do, right?
Hey,
look how easy that was.
They went from Keith Brooking to Sean Lee to Leighton Vander Esch. I think that,
and then to no neck having Leighton Vander Esch, where he couldn't hit a turn like an SUV.
That's very tough. They can get a big hard hitting linebacker for 3 seasons. Just keep that rotating. But Micah, he's one of the few. He's almost in that wide receiver 1 category where I've been on at Jag about teams not paying their wide receiver 1s because they think they're just going to find another guy in the draft. No. When you have a certified good in the NFL, you should protect it, hold it close to you. But I think if Dallas If Dallas had some balls, they'd say, we suck. We're going to let you go walk after this season, Micah. We're not even going to be close, which they won't be. But they're going to pay him a bunch of money. It's going to be uber dramatic. I hope he goes on a full podcast tour, actually interviewing. I hope he details the whole thing and rips Dallas throughout.
He should broadcast if he were to leave. By the way, actually, wait 1 second. I didn't bring up once him leaving, and I find it really interesting that like every single talking point you've brought up him leaving.
He should.
Is there something that you're like trying to tell us?
No.
You really don't want to see him on the Cowboys.
I don't have any inside sourcing.
You want to free this man. I know you don't have any. I didn't suggest you had sourcing. I know you don't have sourcing.
Watch that finger point
I know
over there, all right?
There's
That
plenty
was
of
a little
space between
aggressive.
us now. I know you don't have any sourcing.
Leap over this table. I swear, I'll do a speed jump right at you.
It would make for one of the funniest videos ever on the channel. But just to see my angle and then your angle of you launch yourself. I know you don't have any sourcing, but I'm trying to dissect that. Like you're like pushing this narrative that I don't even think is like totally there.
I think that Dallas is such a dead fish that they don't have any upwards momentum. Dak healthy.
Just hate Dallas.
No. Dak healthy means nothing to me if it's just CeeDee Lamb that he is distributing the ball to. And Micah Parsons on the defense being one soldier, maybe one of two soldiers out of 11, does nothing for the NFL. He should pull a Khalil Mack. He should just say, thanks for the ride. Appreciate it. I'm going to go get paid. He could get paid in Dallas, but for what? What is the impact there? I mean, to see you see these defensive linemen that just give it. Trent Cole gave it forever for Philadelphia. So many sacks, so much, never got rewarded. Micah Parsons, I think he's smart enough to understand, like, he's good enough to be a true legacy guy in the NFL. And the term legacy has just been thrown around like crazy these last couple months. But he has the possibility for a gold jacket first time it's available. And I think if he stays healthy on a good team, yeah, he could be contending for sack records. He could probably break the single season sack record somewhere else also. I just don't see any future down the line with him in Dallas. Like, I don't see that path for greatness there.
If he was getting paid upwards of $30 to $40 million, I think he would be more than happy with his career.
Wouldn't we all?
But
yes.
Yeah, of course. But I do think you do raise like the one point here, and it's something that's been suggested plenty of times when you listen to these day talk football shows. The suggestion that like, hey, you have three really good players. You've got a really good starting quarterback, you have an elite receiver, and you have an elite edge rusher that would be key pieces for Super Bowl runs on other teams.
Yeah.
The rest of the roster is not there, and it's a 3 to 4 year project before it gets to a competitive point. You would be better off moving on from CD, trading him, trading Micah Parsons, trading Dak. Imagine all the picks you could accumulate. I think that's always something it's very Madden rebuild your team-esque, which is kind of stupid. The NFL doesn't work that way. At the same time, I think a lot of teams constantly find themselves in sunk cost value. You always hear well, it's so hard to find a quarterback like Dak Prescott. It's so hard to find an edge rusher like Micah Parsons. Well, I would argue it's a lot worse to toil away and just watch that guy's career slowly end on your roster, and you never really were able to put yourself in a position to win because you committed so much money to him, and your draft picks are in the middle of every single first round and every other round after that all those picks are going towards decent players, but you're never really able to get more blue chippers. So, yeah, there's no good way to fix this thing, and the sad aspect of this that we've brought up a million times is that Jerry Jones no longer has the roster-building foresight or the franchise-building foresight that he did back in the 90s.
I'm not trying to compare, like, if Dallas was a better drafting team, I would have such a different narrative about this. If they were someone like a team like the Buccaneers who could continuously draft, retain quality players that could mix well with their stars, I would be all in on Micah staying. Go ahead, take the pay cut. I'd be so pro Micah in Dallas. But the Cowboys aren't that team. They can draft one really explosive star about every 2 years, and then they're going to miss on like every pick but one that could start pretty well. So they just don't have that ability. Like the Cowboys could never even fathom drafting like George Karlaftis, doing stuff that the Chiefs do when they win late round picks every single round, hitting home runs. They can't draft as well as the Rams do. They just are not in that ballpark. And until they prove something to me, I'm gonna write them off as a DOA franchise that is going to be a bottom dweller with the likes of New York, who I would say has outdrafted Dallas in the last couple seasons and the actual raw talent that they've brought in. But they are a bottom dweller, slowly creeping towards loser franchise.